It's story time.
Please read to me. Read me a story, please.
The Education Channel happily brings you Storytime, a favorite story read to you right here on TV. Storytime is a daily read-aloud show designed just for you. Storytime is made possible by Collier County Public Schools, Barnes & Noble Booksellers, and Naples Daily News.
On this show, our featured story is Arnie the Doughnut, cooked up by Lori Keller, our guest reader, Sue Catalano, community member.
So are you ready, boys and girls?
We're ready.
Then it's story time. And here's our story.
Arnie turned out to be just the kind of donut he'd hoped he'd be, chocolate covered with bright colored candy sprinkles. Look at all my sprinkles, there must be 1 million of them. He was made very early in the morning at the downtown bakery, home of the best donuts around. Arnie was proud to be one of the best. He knew that people all over town made special trips to his bakery to buy donuts of their very own. As Arnie sat on the tray which had just been placed in the donut case, he took a moment to reflect on the amazing things that had happened to him that morning. First, he was cut into a ring, then deep fried, then cooled, iced, sprinkled, and named. Arnie looked around and saw all sorts of donuts sitting nearby. He tried to strike up a conversation with an apple fritter on the next tray over, but she didn't seem to want to talk. It is rather early. Maybe she's not a morning donut, Arnie supposed. It was 6 a.m. and the baker had just hung the open sign in the window. Arnie was fascinated as he watched customers stream into the bakery. One by one, donuts were chosen, placed in paper bags, and whisked away with their new owners. Some went by the dozen in giant boxes. "Goodbye," Arnie yelled to each donut. "Have a great trip." "This is so exciting. I wonder who will choose me." Just then, Arnie looked up and saw a man pointing right at him. Before he could say another word, he was pulled from the tray and placed in a paper bag of his very own. "Thank you, Mr. Bing. Have a nice day."
Look, he's
Arnie heard the baker say to the man. "Mr. Bing, that's a fine name," Arnie decided. "I can hardly wait to meet him." The ride to Mr. Bing's apartment was a little bumpy. Arnie was grateful for the soft napkin the baker had so thoughtfully placed underneath him in the bag. He had never ridden in a car and wished he could look out the window to see all the sights, but more than anything, he wished he could meet Mr. Bing. Why does he keep me in this bag, Arnie wondered. Finally, the car came to a stop and they were home. Mr. Bing carefully removed Arnie from his paper bag and placed him on a clean, shiny plate. "What a handsome plate," Arnie said to himself. "I'm not crazy about the design. I prefer a more modern look, but it's nothing a little paint can't fix." Mr. Bing gently lifted Arnie from his new plate. "Isn't that cute?" thought Arnie as he closed his eyes and smiled. "He wants to hold me." As Arnie relaxed in Mr. Bing's hand, he felt himself moving higher and higher away from his plate. When he opened his eyes to see where he was going, he discovered that he was headed straight for Mr. Bing's open mouth. "What are you doing?" shouted Arnie. Mr. Bing was stunned. He dropped Arnie back onto the plate. "I was going to eat you," he replied in shock. "Eat me?" Arnie shrieked, his sprinkles flying everywhere. "Why would you do a thing like that? Do you make a habit of eating all your house guests?" "No, of course not." "So why then did it suddenly occur to you to eat me?" Arnie demanded. "Well, because you're a donut. That's what donuts are for, to eat." "Do you mean to tell me you've done this before?" "Yes, I eat a donut every day," Mr. Bing said sheepishly. Arnie froze. He felt sick and frightened and angry. He thought to himself for a moment, "I must put a stop to this right away. I'll call the bakery and warn the others. Whoever's left, that is." Arnie knew there was no time to waste, and they needed to be very sneaky in order to keep his plan from Mr. Bing. He turned to Mr. Bing and said in his sweetest voice, "Excuse me, sir, but I don't believe we've been properly introduced. My name is Arnie." Hello, Arnie," Mr. Bing stammered. "I'm Mr. Bing. It's nice to meet you." "Mr. Bing, would you be a dear and allow me to use your telephone?" Arnie asked extra politely. "Oh, well, okay," said Mr. Bing, and he handed Arnie the phone. As quickly as he could, Arnie dialed the number of the bakery. The baker answered the phone. Downtown bakery, home of the best. Mr. Baker Man! Arnie frantically whispered, "This is Arnie the Doughnut. Do you remember me? You made me at 5:15 this morning, and I was bought about 20 minutes ago by a man who goes by the name of Mr. Bing." "Yes, Arnie," the baker answered. "What can I do for you?" "I don't want to alarm you, but just moments ago that man tried to eat me. And not only that, he claims to have eaten hundreds of us. I'm going to make a run for it, but I wanted to warn you so that if you see him coming into the bakery again, you can stop him." "Oh my, Arnie, I thought you understood. That's why I make donuts, for people to eat." "I can't believe it," Arnie gasped. "Are the other donuts aware of this arrangement?" "Well, I think so," the baker said. "Let me ask them to make sure." The baker yelled to the other donuts, "Do you donuts know that you're going to be eaten?" "Yes, we know," the donuts shouted back. "We're delicious." "Did you hear that, Arnie?" the baker asked. Arnie was crushed. The phone dropped from his hand. He'd heard all he needed to hear. Arnie forgot about his plan to escape. He collapsed back onto the plate, glanced up at Mr. Bing and muttered, "All right then, let's get this over with. Go ahead and eat me." Mr. Bing gazed down at Arnie. "I'm not going to eat you, Arnie," he said reassuringly. "I just wouldn't feel right about it now." "Really?" Arnie said with a huge sigh of relief. "Well, I'm glad to see that you've come to your senses. But since I'm not going to eat you," Mr. Bing continued, "I'll have to figure out something else to do with you. I paid good money for you. I don't want to be wasteful." "Of course not," Arnie agreed. "What we need to do is each make a list of things I can do with you instead of eating you. Between the two of us, I know we'll come up with something." "Good plan, Mr. Bing," Arnie said. "This will be a breeze. I bet I'm good at lots of stuff." They both feverishly wrote down their ideas. When they were finished, Mr. Bing asked, "Would you like to read yours first?" "Sure thing, Mr. Bing," Arnie answered. "Things Mr. Bing can do with me instead of eating me. Do you need a ballroom dance partner?" "No, I don't dance." "You could use a personal fitness trainer." I'd get too sweaty." "How about a portrait painter?" "Oh, heavens, no." "Would you like me to entertain at your parties?" "I don't like throwing parties." "I could be your chauffeur." "But you can't see over the steering wheel." "I'd make a great bodyguard." "Who could you protect me from, a cookie?" "All righty, Mr. Bing, let's hear what you came up with." "Okie dokie," he replied. "I just know you'll like some of these. Things I can do with Arnie instead of eating him. I could use you as a pincushion." "Oh, too painful." "How about an air freshener for my car?" "How about not?" "Would you like to be a picture frame?" "I don't imagine so." "I need a new bowling ball." "Well, don't look at me." "You'd make a fine paperweight." "Boring." "Then what about a doorstop?" "Try again." But there was nothing else on Mr. Bing's list. They were both completely out of ideas. Arnie and Mr. Bing were exhausted. They felt terribly disappointed. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Mr. Bing finally spoke. "I'm sorry, Arnie, but it's clear that we can't agree on anything for you to do around here. This is difficult for me to say, but I think it would be best if you found another home." "I know," said Arnie, fighting back tears. "I'll just be on my way then. Is it all right if I keep this napkin to pack up all my loose sprinkles?" "Of course," Mr. Bing replied sadly. "As soon as I get a job, I'll pay you back the money you spent on me." "That's not necessary, Arnie." Arnie shook Mr. Bing's hand and thanked him for his kindness. Mr. Bing opened the door, and as Arnie left, he paused and said, "I guess donuts are only good for eating, aren't they?" They both waved goodbye, and Arnie was gone. Mr. Bing stood at the window and watched as Arnie walked away. He walked past the flower beds, the mailboxes, and the apartment manager's office. He passed the tennis court, the swimming pool, and the clubhouse. But when Arnie reached the "No Dogs Allowed" sign at the end of the driveway, Mr. Bing suddenly came up with a new idea. "Arnie, Arnie, wait up!" yelled Mr. Bing as he ran after him. Arnie turned back and stopped. When Mr. Bing caught up with him, he was out of breath. "I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier," Mr. Bing panted. "Arnie, I've always wanted a dog and could never have one because they're not allowed here. But there's no sign that says no donuts allowed." Arnie perked up when he realized what Mr. Bing was thinking. "Would you like to take walks and play fetch?" Mr. Bing asked excitedly. "You bet I would. Can you do tricks like rolling over?" "Rolling over? Look at me. I was made for rolling over." "Well, then, there's only one thing left to ask. Arnie, will you be my donut dog?" "Oh, Mr. Bing, I would love to be your donut dog." From that moment on, Arnie and Mr. Bing were inseparable. Arnie liked being a donut dog even better than he liked being a donut. He went through a short phase of chewing on furniture and barking at the mailman, but after a crash course in obedience school, he graduated first in his class. Everywhere the two of them went, people would stop to pet Arnie. No one had ever seen a donut dog before. Arnie and Mr. Bing had so much fun together. Arnie was the best pet Mr. Bing could ever have hoped for, and Mr. Bing was Arnie's best friend. The end.
This is Storytime, the Education Channel's daily read-aloud show that's just for you.
Our next story is We're Going on a Bear Hunt, written by Michael Rosen and illustrated by Helen Oxenbury. Our guest reader, Pat Guehler, community member.
But before we begin, I want to ask you a couple questions. Why do you think we like to read books? Can you answer that?
Because it makes you smarter, it gives you more knowledge.
Good.
Maybe to help you go to sleep at night or learn something from you.
So that you understand what's going on.
Okay. And the writer of the book, do you know that the word for the writer of a book? The writer is called the author. And the artist that makes all the beautiful pictures, what is that person, what is that called?
Illustrator.
Excellent. Okay. There's another reason why I really like to think about reading books. And that is because I like to read and because I'd like to think that you are going to like to read, and also because the reader likes you. Who reads to you?
Maybe mom or dad.
Maybe mom or dad, teacher, neighbor, friend, grandma, reader at Storytime, and they all like the kids they're reading to. Okay, there are different reasons that we read a book. And today the first book we're going to read is Going on a Bear Hunt. And this has a kind of a chant to it. Do you know, have you ever heard of Going on a Bear Hunt? No, I don't think so. All right. And it has a little hand action. Going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. We're not afraid. What a beautiful day. All right. We're going to do that. We're going to hear that a lot. We don't have to do that hand stuff every time. So, these friends of ours, oh, some of these pictures aren't so good. I'll show you the good ones, though. We're going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh. Grass. Long, wavy grass. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. Oh, no. We've got to go through it. Swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy. Kind of an easy book, isn't it? We're going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh, a river. A deep, cold river. Can't go over it, can't go under it. Oh no, we've got to go through it. Splish, splash, 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 splash. Nice pictures.
Yeah.
We're going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Oh no, mud. Thick, oozy mud. Can't go over it, can't go under it. Oh no, we've got to go through it. Squelch, squirch, squelch, squirch, squelch, squirch. All right, where else are they going? We're going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh, a forest, a big dark forest. Can't go over it, can't go under it. Uh-oh. We've got to go through it. Stumble, trip, stumble, trip, stumble, trip. Going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh, a snowstorm. A swirling, whirling snowstorm. Can't go over it. Can't go
Under it.
Uh-oh, we've got to go
Through it.
hoo, 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 hoo. We're going on a bear hunt, going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not
Scared.
Oh no, a cave, a narrow, gloomy cave. Can't go over it, can't go.
Under it.
Uh-oh, we've got to go
Through it.
tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe. What's this? One shiny wet nose, two big furry eyes, two big googly eyes. It's a bear. Quick, back through the cave, tiptoe, tiptoe, back through the snowstorm, whoo, whoo, back through the forest, stumble, stumble, trip, back through the mud, squelch, squelch, back through the river, splish, splash, back through the grass, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy. We're not scared. Get to our front door, open the door, up the stairs. Oh no, we forgot to shut the door. Back downstairs, shut the door, back upstairs, into the bedroom, into bed, under the covers. Gonna read with me? We're not going on a bear hunt again. That was enough of a bear hunt for them, wasn't it?
Storytime, the read-aloud show that comes right into your home, continues now on the Education Channel.
Our next story is Come On Rain, written by Karen Hess and pictures by John J. Muth. Our guest reader is Sheila Buckner, 2009 Golden Apple Teacher.
Our next book is about a really hot day. Do you ever want it to rain on a really hot day so you can cool off or play in the rain? This is a good one then. Come on, rain, I say, squinting into the endless heat. Mama lifts a listless vine and sighs. 3 weeks and not a drop, she says, sagging over her parched plants. The sound of a heavy truck rumbles past. Uneasy, Mama looks over to me. Is that thunder, Tessie? She asks. Mama hates thunder. I climb up the steps for a better look. It's just a truck, Mama, I say. I am sizzling like a hot potato. I ask Mama, may I put on my bathing suit? Absolutely not, Mama says, frowning under her straw hat. You'll burn all day out in the sun. Up and down the block, cats pant. Heat wavers off tar patches in the broiling alleyway. Ms. Grace and Ms. Vera bend, tending beds of drooping lupines. Not a sign of my friends Liz or Rosemary, not a peep from my pal Jackie Joyce. I stare out over rooftops, past chimneys, into the way-off distance, and that's when I see it coming. Clouds rolling in, gray clouds bunched and bulging under a purple sky. A creeper of hope circles around my bones. Come on, rain, I whisper. Quietly, while Mama weeds, I cross the crackling dry path past Miss Glick's window, glancing inside as I hurry by. Miss Glick's needle sticks on her phonograph, playing the same notes over and over in the dim, stuffy cave of her room. The smell of hot tar and garbage bullies the air as I climb the steps to Jackie Joyce's porch. Jackie Joyce, I breathe, pressing my nose against her screen. Jackie Joyce comes to the door. Her long legs, like 2 brown string beans, sprout from her shorts. It's gonna rain, I whisper. Put on your suit and come straight over. Slick with sweat, I run back home and slip up the steps past Mama. She is nearly senseless in the sizzling heat, kneeling over the hot rump of a melon. In the kitchen, I pour iced tea to the top of a tall glass. I aim a spoonful of sugar into my mouth and then a second into the drink. "Got you some tea, Mama," I say, pulling her inside the house. Mama sinks onto a kitchen chair and sweeps off her hat. Sweat trickles down her neck and wets the front of her dress and under her arms. Mama presses the ice-chilled glass against her skin. "Aren't you something, Tessie?" she says. I nod smartly. "Rain's comin', Mama," I say. Mama turns to the window and sniffs. "It's about time," she murmurs. Jackie Joyce in her bathing suit knocks at the door and I let her in. "Jackie Joyce has her suit on, Mama," I say. "May I wear mine too?" I hold my breath, waiting. A breeze blows the thin curtains into the kitchen, then sucks them back against the screen again. "Is there thunder?" Mama asks. "No thunder," I say. "Is there lightning?" Mama asks. "No lightning," Jackie Joyce says. "You stay where I can find you," Mama says. "We will," I say. "Go on then," Mama says, lifting the glass to her lips to take a sip. "Come on, Rain," I cheer, peeling out of my clothes and into my suit, while Jackie Joyce runs to get Liz and Rosemary. We meet in the alleyway. All the insects have gone still. Trees sway under a swollen sky. The wind grows bold and bolder. And just like that, rain comes. The first drops plop down big, making dust dance all around us. Think they're going to play in the rain? Then a deeper gray descends, and the air cools, and the clouds burst, and suddenly rain is everywhere. "Come on, rain," we shout. It streams through our hair and down our backs. It freckles our feet, glazes our toes. We turn in circles, glistening in our rain skin. Our mouths wide, we gulp down the rain. Have you done this before? Put your head back, tried to drink the rain when it comes down? Yeah? Jackie Joyce chases Rosemary, who chases Liz, who chases me. Wet, slicking our arms and legs, we splash up the block, squealing and whooping in the streaming rain. We make such a racket. Ms. Glick rushes out on her porch. Ms. Grace and Ms. Vera come next, and then comes Mama. They run from their kitchens and skid to a stop. Do you think the girls are in trouble? Think? Leaning over their rails, they turn to each other. A smile spreads from porch to porch, and with a wordless nod, first one, then all, fling off their shoes, skim off their hose, tossing streamers of stockings over their shoulders. Our bare-legged mamas dance down the steps and join us in the fresh, clean rain, while the music from Ms. Glick's phonograph shimmies and sparkles and streaks like night lightning. Jackie Joyce, Liz, Rosemary, and I, we grab the hands of our mamas. We twirl and sway them, tromping through puddles, romping and reeling in the moisty green air. We swing our wet and wild-haired mamas till we're all laughing under trinkets of silver rain. I think they're having fun. They didn't get in trouble, did they? I hug Mama hard and she hugs me back. The rain has made us new. As the clouds move off, I trace the drips on Mama's face. Everywhere, everyone, everything is misty limbs springing back to life. We sure did get a soaking, Mama, I say, and we head home purely soothed, fresh as dew, turning toward the first sweet rays of the sun. And that's the end. Good book for a hot day when we need rain.
It's story time every day on the Education Channel. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Collier County Public Schools, Barnes & Noble Bookseller, and Naples Daily News for making Storytime possible. Storytime is a production of the school district's Communications and Community Engagement Department and the Education Channel, your window to education.